lives, livelihoods and liberties of every citizen. Before anyone knew about Partygate, around 120,000 fixed penalty notices had been issued to people for breaching the rules, fined anything from £50 to £10,000. Scotland Yard were initially reluctant to investigate alleged breaches that had occurred months earlier, but official revelations forced their hand.
There was evidence that those involved knew, or ought to have known, that what they were doing was an offence.
Now more than 50 fixed penalty notices have been issued, and there may well be more to come. Each of the fixed penalty notices requires the police to believe that a criminal offence has been committed. Now, it doesn't go on anyone's criminal record, but it could go on the police national computer. Hello, sweetheart. While ordinary people were denied the chance to hold the hands of the dying or provide comfort and care to the vulnerable, Boris Johnson, his wife, Chancellor and others were at a party in number 10, eating cake and singing happy birthday. The funeral of 75-year-old Rita Godoi was held on the same day as one of the Downing Street parties, with only a handful of people in attendance.
She should resign. He's been months and months saying that it's actually basically was never a party, that he was never there, that he wasn't aware of it. How many times can he lie? It's an insult.
In normal times, this would be the end for the Prime Minister. There will be questions as to whether he knowingly misled Parliament. There will be accusations of hypocrisy. But the biggest risk for Boris Johnson is that he will be seen as having taken voters for fools, and the consequences of that will be judged at the ballot box. Mark Easton, BBC News.
Well, there was fury amongst voters when the claims first came out of staff parties in Downing Street and Whitehall during lockdown, gatherings which allegedly took place while ministers were laying down rules, stopping everyone else from socialising. So how are today's revelations being viewed? Our correspondent Danny Savage has been to the town of Mirfield in Kirklees, West Yorkshire, to gauge the mood.
Mirfield in West Yorkshire, a busy town between Wakefield and Huddersfield which fell silent during lockdown. An area of northern England where people we spoke to say they stuck to the rules concerning coronavirus restrictions.
They shouldn't have broken the rules anyway, they made them. Everybody else was adhering to those rules, and they didn't.
I think it should resign, personally, yeah. I think it should, he's asking us to obey one rule and then he's doing something completely different, the opposite. It's just not right, it's not fair, it's not British.
No point resigning, pay the fine and get on with it. And obviously don't do it again.
You stuck to the rules.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, they didn't. How does that leave you feeling?
Well, I'm actually angry. I've never been into politics, as one can say, but it just made me so angry. It's like one rule for them and one for us.
But will today's headlines damage the Conservatives in a forthcoming general election? To be fair, the people we spoke to here today weren't sure. But some of their gains in 2019 have very slim majorities, like here, where they won by just over 1,500 votes. What is clear is that Partygate has cut through to people far from Westminster. They're fully aware of it and have firm views. Danny Savage, BBC News, Mirfield in West Yorkshire.
I'm joined again by Vicky Young. Vicky, this is an extraordinary moment, really, isn't it? And one in which many people might have thought the Prime Minister would step down.
Yeah, in some ways we've got used to so many allegations of rule breaking here, but actually this is still an astonishing moment. A Prime Minister who broke the law that he actually drew up. Now this is damaging for any government, the idea that there was one rule for them and another for all of us. But when it comes to political survival, I think people might be surprised. Until a general election, this is up to Conservative MPs. Tonight the Cabinet have rallied round, and even some of his fiercest critics on his own side are saying, now is not the time. I think that 2 months ago, if this had happened, it would have been enough to oust the Prime Minister. But the political wind has changed, partly of course because of Ukraine. And for now, I think he survives.
Vicky, many thanks. More from you a little bit later in the